Ba-dum bum ba-dum ba-dum bum bum. Ba-dum bum bum ba-dum ba-dum bum bum. Bum ba-dum 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 bum bum. Bum ba-dum 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 bum bum. Bum ba-dum. Ba-dum bum bum. Not posting links. Not posting links. Totally not something that existed before. Come join if you would like. Yeah, totally. That'll do. That'll do just fine. Yeah. I see, it's gonna be one of those days, isn't it? Okay, yeah. Yep, good, very good. I don't know if I like that. Gonna have to turn that down. I don't like hearing myself in the past like that. Alrighty. We're gonna start this here. Boop. Hey there, hi there. Hyde here. Can you imagine, for a second stream tonight, I don't know if we should address the elephant in the room or just leave that little stream to its own little mystique, right? Like, we could just leave it and never address it. The fifth video in the Zatsu-Side Pocket series. Just 9 seconds long. I guess I will address it. So I don't know if other VTubers or content creators or live streamers or whatever you want to call us do this, but I typically do a sound test before I do a live stream or record videos, and the start live stream button is right above the start recording button. Can you imagine that? Yeah, it's a bit of a strange thing, right? I don't... yeah, I don't... I do recommend it, right? Like, if you want to do audio balancing, I do recommend that you, actually do that. Do live sound tests, or, not even live ones, right? You can do it in the comfort of your own, computer, without even hitting the go live button. You just have to hit the start recording button, instead of the, start streaming button. Unfortunately, Hyde got those two mixed up, and it's a very simple mistake to make, right? Let me tell you a little bit about why. You don't usually see those, so usually I know what button to hit just fine. I never had a problem before, just tonight, right? And I'll leave it there as like a testament to, I guess, my failure to not show you behind the curtain. Yeah, to not show you behind the curtain. You probably don't want to see behind the curtain, right? No one wants to see, the wizard behind the curtain. They just want the wizard to be powerful. Hyde, he is, unfortunately not the powerful wizard that he claims to be. Yeah. So, I woke up, after sleeping 3 days ago with the most excruciating stabbing pain in my left arm that I've probably felt in, had to be years, right? Yeah. I don't usually wake up in pain. That's a new one. And, I can't say that it's an uncommon thing for some people, because they do, right? There are people out there who have chronic pain issues, and they wake up feeling pain every day. And that's very unfortunate, right? But that's not what Hyde is talking about. No. This pain that I felt is acute, meaning that it just occurred in a short period, that is not chronic, that is not long-lasting, hopefully. Now, I'm hoping it's not long-lasting, but it could be a sign of more things to come. No, what happened is, for the last 8 or 12 years, I don't know, you'd have to round for me. The last 8 or 12 years, I've been sleeping on my left side, right? Yeah, it's very comfortable for me. I got used to it over the course of, say, I want to say 4 years or so. But I got used to sleeping on my left side for reasons. For reasons, right? So for the last 12 or so years, I have been sleeping on my left side. And apparently that causes compression to the nerves and the shoulder, and it causes inflammation, so your muscles get all inflamed. And yeah, you end up not being able to move it. It ends up being very painful. I was very concerned about even streaming tonight. Like last night, I went to bed and I was like, okay, it's getting better. It's been 2 days. Maybe tomorrow it'll be good enough that I can actually stream. That I can set up my streaming setup right. Because as you know, I have to set this thing up with cardboard boxes just to get the sound quality just right. Yeah, this is... Streaming on a budget isn't quite right, because I do own a wooden desk, and I could stream from it, right? And I would be very comfortable. The problem is, it's not ideal for sound, so I have to stream somewhere else where the sound is better, less echoey. Unfortunately, that means my sitting posture is not ideal, and that means that my left arm is kinda not comfortably resting somewhere that it could be comfortably... that it could be comfortably resting. So it is constantly slightly throbbing. Don't take that out of context. The evil in my left arm is throbbing. I feel like I need some kind of seal for it, you know? Maybe some cursed bandages or blessed bandages, whatever the case may be. Like, maybe I could be a middle schooler with the throbbing of my left arm. If I get an eye patch, maybe that'd be cool too. I could really complete the look. Point is, I slept on my shoulder arm. Yeah. And when you get old, as Hyde is, I'm what, 189 now? I think I am. But when you get old, things heal a lot slower than they used to when you were a kid. Like, people don't realize this, but babies, they have really, really soft and pliable and flexible bones. But adults, they're very brittle, right? Like, they're calcified. And they'll just break. Yeah. They'll just break. That's less than ideal, right? Like, you want the soft bones if, you get an injury. You gotta be very precise with this one. Yeah, like that. You want the soft... Oh, that's sad. You want the soft bones so that you bounce and your bones deform rather than shattering. That's why it's fine if you accidentally drop a baby a few times, right? Like, their bones will be fine. After a couple years, you won't even notice the dent that you put in them. Hopefully. No, that's a bad shot. Went up a little bit more. But for an adult, right, like the bones, they just... Oh, we just barely touched that. I'll tell you what, why don't we do a bounce off? I don't know if we can. Nope, we're gonna have to try. Yeah. Yeah. So not only did the bones get a little bit more brittle, but your muscles end up being a lot less flexible as well, right? Flexibility is one of those or underrated things in the elderly population, but it's always included in rehabilitation programs. I'm just not hitting that ball, am I? I come to Hyde talking about dropping babies. um, uh, eh. Hi Grace. Also hi Rora. Good to see you both. I kind of just went into it, didn't I? Yeah, no. This is probably going to be a short stream again. Like, my arm is just very annoying. It's not even painful, right? It's just I'm old and I compressed the nerves in it. And now if I lift it above my, say, shoulder area, it just hurts. It's like a stabbing pain. Should I see a doctor? Maybe. Am I going to see a doctor? No. The solution I came to is, the solution that humans have been coming to for the last couple thousand years, probably. Sorry to hear about your pain muscle issues. Oh, yeah, thank you. Hi, Diana. Oh, your hand's messed up. I'm sorry to hear that. Should invent something better than bodies. I'm very happy that you got a rescue cat. Like, one of, my family members is big into rescue cats. They have a lot of rescue cats. And they keep getting new ones so they can find them new homes. Like, they'll find them on the streets and they'll just take them home with them. Yeah. But yeah, they can be pretty feisty when you first get them. They usually take a bit of time to get acclimated. They might not be used to, like, the kind human contact. So I do hope that that gets a little bit easier for you. And you're absolutely right. It would be nice if we had something a little more flexible, a little less brittle, and a little just less painful than the human body, wouldn't it? Nerve pain freaking sucks? Yes, Grace. Yes, it does. Like, if you think about it, all pain is nerve pain in the end, right? Like, pain is just a sensory input that shouldn't have worked. That shouldn't have worked. A sensory input from your nervous system that gets interpreted by the brain. And there is no such thing as feeling pain in your arm. You feel the arm pain in your brain. Because that's where the signals, those stimuli, get interpreted as pain, right? Yeah. But thank you for your consideration and compassion, Grace. I do appreciate it. I will continue to try and rest it to the best of my abilities. While still doing the content thing. Oh, you volunteer with a rescue. Okay, cool. Yeah. Volunteering with a rescue, that's a big thing too. Oh. It is very funny how the small kittens can get out of their cages, right? Like, I know rats have collapsible skeletons, but I don't think cats do, even if they're only one letter different. So it kind of makes you wonder how they squeeze through, like, bars in a cage. I heard that if their whiskers can fit through something, then their head can fit through something, and if their head can fit through something, then the rest of their body can. So it's very interesting how small of a space a cat can escape from. Yeah, I do imagine that looking for a tiny cat would be very difficult, especially if it's had a rougher life, right? Very sweet boy. I'm sorry he was terrified. I do imagine that he was, though. Cats have a floating collarbone, I believe? Oh, yeah, I don't know anything about floating collarbones. Unless it's a very fat cat. That's very unfortunate. Yeah, I don't know if they have a floating collarbone, but that would make sense if they did. I'll take your word as, the expert here, seeing as you have a lot more experience with cats than I probably do. I think I have a cat. I haven't admitted that yet on stream, I'm not going to share pictures of my cat, but I do have a cat, and she's a lovely cat, except when she's not. Sometimes a little too curious for her own good. But that's a cat for you. Oh, hi Aria, nice to see you. I saw you put out a new ASMR video. If you like ASMR, BFE, check out Aria's channel here on YouTube. It's very good. He's very high quality with his Foley effects especially. And if I'm not mistaken, he writes all of his own scripts too, which is always nice to give someone something novel that you can't get elsewhere, right? Cat's actually... Oh, he's been gatekeeping his cat. I've been trying not to dox my cat this whole time, is the thing, right? Yeah. So I guess I have been gatekeeping it a little bit. Cats actually have a free-floating collarbone, which allows them to squeeze through the tightest of places. Yeah. Okay. So you were right. It's not quite a collapsible skeleton, but I do imagine that being able to readjust your own collarbone would mean that you could fit through a lot of spaces, right? Because then you're just worrying about basically the spine and the muscles and the ligaments, the soft parts, which are already flexible. So maybe if we had a collapsible collarbone, I wouldn't have neck or shoulder pain like I do from sleeping on it wrong. How dare you say you have a cat? Not share it. I'm very sorry. She is very camera shy. You know? Some of them are. You put a camera in their face and they just run away. That's my cat, and I don't think there's anything I could really do about it. Like, maybe if I got her sleeping, but I don't know if I really want to do that, right? Like, I don't want to disturb her sleep. She would probably be very angry at me if I did. Google seems to agree with me. My memory worked for once. I'm glad that your memory worked for once, Diana. My memory does not ever work. So I'm glad someone around here has a good memory. Yeah, someone. How do I achieve a free-floating collarbone? That's a great question, Iria. If you figure that out, do let me know. We'll see what we have to break to make it work. One of my late cats used to attack my phone whenever I would put it near him. Yeah, that does happen a lot, right? Like, some cats are just very fickle. I'm sorry to hear that your cat is late. That happens, right? Like, no matter what you do for a cat, sometimes it's just their time. And, I thought the last time I lost a cat, I wouldn't get another cat. I thought for sure that would be my last cat. I had that one for, I want to say 12 years. Yeah. She ended up with saddle thrombosis, and she threw a few clots, and it just wasn't pretty, you know? It was a very sad occasion. I don't want to talk about downer topics. I'm very happy that, you know, you can have that fun memory of your cat. I think that's what's more important to focus on, right? Yeah. Old boy passed at 14, you know the feeling? Yeah. It's very unfortunate, right? Like, they can live for so long. And they really can, and they'll be fine for the longest time, and then it's just like a sudden decline, right? And you never really expect it. When it happens, it just sort of... Like, I didn't expect it. Like, she was fine for the longest time, and then she just wasn't. And, yeah. It's okay, it's okay. There is a happy ending to the story. Thank you for your, compassion, Diana. Same to you, and same to you, Iria. Yeah, it is a bit awful, but that is life sometimes. The happy ending is, I did end up getting another cat, and she's very nice to me. Like, she's a very fickle cat. She does not like other people, which is, fine by me, right? If she wants to spend all her time with me, that's fine too. You will never hear her on stream or anything, but that's only because where I'm recording. She pretty much runs the place. Yeah, I just let her do what she wants. Which is why I said she's sometimes too curious for her own good, right? Yeah. What is this, cat stream? I wasn't even planning on talking about cat stream or cat topics today. Well, you know, it's fine if we want to talk about cats, that's cool. Everybody likes cats, right? Unless they're dog people. By which I mean they're actually physically dogs. Like half dogs. Like there are plenty of Chupas out there who are at least half dog. Maybe more. Like you can never tell. Maybe I'm part dog and I just don't have the dog ears, right? Maybe I am. I'm not. But maybe I am. You never know. Uh-huh. My childhood cat is currently 14. I'll be really... Oh, yeah. Well, cats can live very long lives these days, right? Like, what is the oldest cat? Something like 20 something? So that there's still potentially plenty of time. I am very happy that your cat is still alive, your childhood cat, Aurora. That is a wonderful blessing, I think, right? I am actually like 2 cats removed from my childhood cat. So, yeah. It was a while ago. We won't even hear her voice, it's so over, cat bros. Well, here's the thing, right? Like, she doesn't even meow too much. She's a very quiet cat, unless there's something wrong. And usually when there's something wrong, it's something like, oh, there's a hole in my food dish where there should be food. Like, she just sticks her nose right in the middle of the bowl and eats from the middle. And then when she can see the bottom of the bowl, she's like, meow, meow, there's no food in my bowl. And I'm just like, no, the food is on the sides. You just have to move to the sides. Dog boy. I'm not a dog boy, but there are plenty of dog boy chubas. So, I won't knock that if you're a dog boy chuba. My grandparents' cats all lived in their early 20s. They were built different. Cats are a Russian roulette. Yeah, it's a matter of genetics, right? Like, you can't even tell cats from the same litter, or that kind of thing. Because they can have the same mother, but each cat in the litter can have a different father. It's very fascinating stuff, right? Cat genetics. I wouldn't want to study it, right? Like, I wouldn't want to be making cat genealogies. I think that'd be awful. Yeah, trying to make cat genealogies. Can you imagine that? I don't think I'd ever actually have to make a cat genealogy. And I'm very glad that I don't, because of that exact reason. Not even purring sounds. No, she purrs very quietly, right? So I would have to get right up next to her to get any kind of purring sounds. And I don't really think that my microphone would pick it up. Not through OBS, at least. Not through the streaming microphone. I don't think a phone microphone would pick it up either. But she very rarely purrs audibly. It's more of a rumble, right? Like you can feel it more than you can hear it. And I say that because she is very much a lap cat, kind of. It's not that she sits on my lap, right? Like I get on a chair, and then she pushes me to the side, so she can sit like right beside my thigh. And she just snuggles up and puts her paws under my thigh to keep them warm, right? Because I'm just a space heater to her. The princess needs her heat, as it were. Typical cat complaint. There are a lot of typical cat complaints. I'm not quite sure which one that's referring to. But I'm going to say yes. Most of my complaints have been typical cat complaints. Like being too curious for their own good. Can we talk about how lucky Mendel is that he studied the genes of peas instead? Oh, yes, exactly, Grace. Peas... Oh, peas actually maintain the Punnett square very well, don't they? Yeah. A lot of the, traits Herpes can be represented very well on a Punnett square, whereas traits for something like a cat, no, no. They have so many different eye color genes that it would not be possible. Even humans, like we say that we can represent human eye color on a Punnett square, it's not exactly correct. I have an example to show you why, but the thing is it would be very doxing for me to say it. So maybe I won't. Maybe I won't talk about the Punnett square of human eye coloration. You love lap cats? Lap cats are the great, or the best, right? Yeah. There's something... Even, like, scientific articles have looked at the healing effect of lap cats. Because there is an effect of being happy on health, right? Yeah. So people who are happier when they're going through some kind of health issue tend to be correlated with better health outcomes, better prognoses. And it does seem that cats have a way of doing that for people who enjoy cats, at least. Like, if you're allergic to cats, probably don't do it. Which is sad, right? But there is an effect, healing animals, or support animals especially, right? I would never say there weren't. The bull. Oh, yes, the bull. Yeah, yeah. I've had a couple cats do that in my life. Like, not all mine. But when I was a kid, we had a couple cats. And, they were very much like this one. Where they would... I don't know what it is. Like, it must seem like it's scarcity issue to them, right? Like, oh, look at me. I don't have any food. I need to survive the winter. I need to stock up on food. That seems like what it has to be. It's an artificial scarcity, though, right? Like, the food's right there. It's in the bowl. They can see it, they can smell it. I know eyes, or cat eyes, don't really see still images too well, right? They don't see water, like still water, too well. I have a cat fountain for exactly that reason. Yes, my cat drinks from a fountain. I don't even drink from a fountain. What's up with that? Why is my cat drinking better than I am? She's so spoiled. But yeah. It is very common, isn't it? Love using your bunny as a little hand warmer. Oh, bunnies. I did have a, should I talk about that? Probably fine. So, when I was a kid, like, the first 12 years of my life, we had a pet rabbit. It was supposed to be a dwarf rabbit, and it had partial albinism, so it had red eyes, it had white fur, but it had black-tipped ears. So it was only partial albinism. And it was supposed to be a dwarf rabbit. Oh? Oh. You captivated by the tale of the dwarf rabbit? I think I see where this is going. You might. So we bought it from a reputable dealer in bunnies. I won't go into it. It was very reputable, right? Probably for different uses than what we were using them for. But it's fine. And that rabbit was not a dwarf rabbit at all. It had to be a normal-sized rabbit. The thing grew to be like 20 pounds over the course of its life. And, it was a very nice pet. Like, clipping its nails was always tough, because she did not like it. Bunnings, yes. But yeah, I had a rabbit at one point in my life, and she was very adorable, except she got very big. And it was very difficult to clip her toenails after she got very big. But yeah, very warm, very comfortable, very cute. They make those cute chirping noises, kind of, right? Usually when they're stressed, so hopefully you don't hear too many of those. Yeah. But I do think rabbits make fine pets. They're kind of gross though, right? Like, all lagomorphs are kind of gross if you get into the biology of their digestive system. Grace, you have a rabbit, so I imagine you know how lagomorphs digest their food better than most people. I can assure you it was very concerning when I was very young that I saw my rabbit doing that. I was like, there's got to be something wrong with her. That's not normal behavior, right? Should I talk about it? Or do we all know what lagomorphs do to digest cellulose? Fine. I'll talk about it. Lagomorphs have this neat adaptation where they can't actually digest cellulose the first time through. You're not sure? Well, that's okay. I'll explain it very clearly. So, once they eat plant material, they let it go through their digestive system, but they didn't actually get any nutrients from it, or very little, because they can't digest cellulose on the first try. So they make this neat little pile of their droppings, and then they consume those droppings. Again. And that's how they digest plant material. Yeah. So bunnies are adorable, but it is very concerning to see that for the first time, or the first couple times, and to not know what's going on. Because they kind of need to do that, right? There are special feeds out there that are easy on bunny digestive systems, and we eventually switched to one of those, but we didn't know that they needed to eat their droppings the first week or so. So it is very concerning not just to see it, but also for the bunny's health, right? Because they need to eat or else they'll starve. So we were trying to clean the cage as much as possible. You know, it's not really a cage, it's more of a hutch. But you get the point. It was an enclosure. We were trying to clean it from the droppings as much as possible so that she wouldn't eat it, not knowing any better that she actually needed to eat those. So, yeah. That's bad on us, being bad owners. We got a pet without first understanding the pet's needs. I mean, yeah, it's not ideal. I wish we would have known sooner. But she still lived to be, what, 14, 12, something like that? She was an old rabbit. And we figured it out pretty quickly, so it didn't really hurt her too much. I just accept it. My bunny likes me out. Grace. Yeah. Well, it's no different from cats, right? Cats always clean themselves. So, yeah, I don't think it's any different. Try not to think about it. That's about all you can do, isn't it? Yeah. You learned this from reading Watership Down. What don't you learn from reading Watership Down? They made that into a cartoon, didn't they? Right? Like an animated movie? Very traumatic, right? Like, not for children, except it technically is for children. Is this a better topic than, I don't know. Cat sits on the kitchen counter. Yeah, That's exactly what happens, isn't it? Like, I get it, right? They need to clean themselves too. It's a hygiene thing. And it's probably a comfort thing too. But, sometimes they get onto surfaces that they shouldn't be on. Like, I've given up on keeping my cat off my table. Just not happening. She will be on my table whenever she wants to be on my table. That's on her. I do not let her on my pillows. Because she sheds like crazy. Like, I have never seen or had a cat that has shed so much fur in my life. I could make a second cat after brushing her one time. And it's not like I don't brush her often. I do. I give her brushes all the time. And I collect a lot of fur all the time. Like, if I really wanted to, I could spin that fur into kitten mittens, right? Made out of real kitten. She's a bit too old to be a kitten. One of my cats gets on the table and won't listen to me telling, yeah, just stares at you. He knows, right? Like, he knows. He asserts his dominance over you, just as my cat asserts her dominance over me. We're not going to do anything about it, are we, Iria? The cats know they're in charge. There's nothing we can do about it. This is a tough shot. Nope. Nope, did not work. Long hair or short hair? I don't really want to dox my cat too much. I will say yes. I'll tell you she has white hair. Yeah, she has white fur. And, she's always losing it. And I wear a lot of dark colors. So, yeah. It's very noticeable when she does, too. Like, if it were a dark-haired cat, something like a mackerel tabby, or a black cat, I probably wouldn't notice as much hair, even if she were losing the same amount. It would just get vacuumed up. Fun fact, she has such fine hair that the vacuum just does not work. Right, I'm better off, like, brushing the carpet by hand. And I have done that. I've met some short-haired cats with very dense fur. Yeah, there are lots of different variations out there. Short hairs with lots of dense fur. Long hairs with very little fur, in fact. So that if you ever trim it, they look like they're kind of patchy. I've seen that in some cats. They kind of look sad, right? Like a sheared sheep. I don't recommend doing that unless the temperature necessitates it. But I have seen it done, and I have seen cats like that. And I'm sorry, but they are kind of adorable, aren't they? Like, they're kind of cute in a sad way. Yeah. His cat is very well known and famous. I don't want my cat to be very well known and famous. Like, I don't know. You're watching a PNG tuber here, right? So, one of my Oshis, as a VTuber fan, had very famous cats. She had very famous cats, because she posted them all the time. And I'm always concerned that if I post my cats, someone will recognize my cat from somewhere. Whether it be family or something else, I don't know. But someone might recognize my cat like they recognize her cats. And I don't want that. I'm a PNG tuber because I like my privacy, right? Influencer cat confirmed? Very much so. My cat has more influence than I do. It really is a cat stream, isn't it? Yeah. It's very unfortunate, right? I can't speak to my cats like most people speak to their cats. Like, I guarantee that we apparently all have animals here, right? Yeah. Grace has a bunny. Diana, you probably have cats. Iria has at least a couple cats. Cat recognition and voice recognition. Oh, Diana, if you only knew. The current voice I am using is in fact my real voice. But I don't even use this voice with my family, right? You'd have to go through my archives and look at the earliest voiced videos I've put up. Because that's how I spoke for the last 8 years. I spoke like an animal. I spoke like a feral human. You know? Something like that. It was very croaky. Because I did not speak much, as it were, over the last 8 or so years. So no one knows what I actually sound like in real life. Because I don't speak like that with them. Yeah. I don't speak like this with them. This is as human as my voice gets, and it is very much my real voice. And they get very croaky Hyde who doesn't want to be speaking. Yeah. He does the bare minimum with his interactions in real life. It works though, right? Like, no one's ever complained about how croaky my voice is in real life. One cat. Okay, there we go. Yeah, we all have pets. Keeping us on our toes, changing your voice. Yeah, yeah. Well, if you listen to... if I ever put Jekyll content back out, Jekyll has a different voice from Hyde, right? Yeah. Recently my Hyde voice has been getting closer and closer to my Jekyll voice. But that's just because I've been in a good mood as of late, right? Yeah, it happens. Jekyll used to be high energy Hyde, like when I wanted to show some kind of higher energy character. I wanted to be more entertaining, right? Yeah. But now it's, I don't know. I haven't felt the need to be Jekyll. I feel entertaining as Hyde. But it does keep people on their toes, and it has the unintended side effect of me not really being recognizable by voice. Like, maybe direct family members might be able to recognize my voice from something they heard 12, 14, 20 years ago. I don't know. I don't think I had quite as deep a voice 20 years ago. Probably still sounded quite young, right? But we all have cats, we all have pets. I have no idea why I was going to talk about that. Uh, Oh, right, I remember now. So we all have cats, we all have pets. Cats are pets. Pets are cats, and cats are pets. One of these things is true, and one of these is only sometimes true. But research shows that those who use baby talk with cats or animals or even babies, you know, the kind that you can drop and they'll just bend. Yeah, baby talk tends to create a stronger link between you as an individual and the baby or pet. So there is science to using baby talk. It even works for other relationships too, as strange as it may sound. Like, believe it or not, baby talk usually is correlated more highly with romantic relationships, right? Like, I don't know. Hyde isn't the type to do baby talk in general. Even when he was, you know, taking care of nieces or nephews, he didn't do that. I thought it would be like a speech impediment thing, and I was always worried because I had a speech impediment. It's a whole to-do, right? Yeah, yeah, I didn't want to give them speech impediments, and as far as cats or animals go, I know the science says that there isn't any link between baby talk and speech impediments, but I was always worried, right? Yeah. So I never got in the habit of doing it, and that's a learned behavior, I think. Yeah, instead of an innate one, it's something that we as humans learn from our cultural influences, and then we associate that with being closer to a person. I don't know why. Maybe it's because we remember partially how we were talked to as babies ourselves, right? Maybe it only works on people who were baby talked to as babies. I don't know. I was probably baby talked to as a baby, but I don't remember. I don't even remember yesterday most days. If it weren't for the stabbing pain in my arm yesterday, and then maybe me not streaming today, I probably wouldn't remember yesterday too well. Do you think it'll work for friends? Good question. I don't see why it wouldn't, you know? It works for pets, it works for romantic partners, it works for babies. So it should work for friends. That reminds me. I do have a very interesting project that I want to work on. I just haven't found time, especially with my arm. Like, I've been working on backlogs as of late. Not gonna lie, just making videos, storing them in a backlog in case I get sick or something. Because it happens, right? It's happened to me a lot. I've gotten sick so many times since starting my PNG tubing career, or hobby, or whatever you want to call it. And it always puts me out of commission. Like, even a cold ruins my voice for days. And if my voice is ruined for days, well, maybe I'll only get to record once per week, right? Like, I'm not made of time. I have a job, I have things to do. I have responsibilities, I have a cat to take care of. I have sourdough to take care of every morning. I don't have the time. So I can't really record, I can't really stream too much. So if I don't make backlogs, yeah, I'm kind of screwed if I get sick. Because you're not going to be seeing or hearing from me. And if you do, it's going to be like this. Oh, hey there. Sick Hyde here. Nice to see you again. You know, it's not like that. Sorry if that was too gross. But that's what it is. Look at my earliest voiced videos for TF2. You will see me with a sniffle counter. I had a lot of fun with that video. That was the first introduction of Jekyll on my channel. Feeding the sourdough. Yeah, lifestyle. Nice. Ayo what? I don't know what you're AO whatting, Iria. But yeah, I do have a sourdough. And I did put out a video. I had COVID at the time, and I really didn't want to say COVID because COVID was still big. And I have never had my nose run quite so much as when I had COVID. It's one of those things, right? Like, it's one of the symptoms. Your nose runs off your face. So, I did a lot of editing for that video, because I knew it would sound gross. And, the only way I thought it would be entertaining is if I did editing to it. Yeah. But, that was back when I was still doing TF2 videos. I don't even know if, anyone here knows that I did TF2 videos. Maybe one or two of you. Now for the sourdough. Yeah, I started a sourdough culture, I guess it was 2018 or so. Oh man, that makes me feel old, right? 2018 was what, 6 years ago? I've got a toddler on my hands. I feed it every day. Like, I know there are some people who put their sourdough starters in the fridge, and they feed them once per week on Sundays or whatever else. We are so close there. They take them out, they warm them up, and basically reset the environment for it. Because if you think about it, sourdoughs are just symbiotic cultures of, symbiotic colonies of bacteria and wild yeast. Yeah. So, the dough itself, like the water and the flour, that's really just the culture medium. It would be nothing less than the agar gel of any kind of culture plate. So it's really just there to provide an environment. And the reason you need to feed sourdough is because the environment changes with the influence of the life forms inside of it. Yeah, it's a really funny thought, right? Like, they can kill themselves by altering their own environment. I thought that was a human thing, right? Nope. Animals and bacteria even do it. So, it's not even very human of us. The problem with sourdoughs, typically, is they get too acidic for the yeast to survive. And the acidity comes from the mostly bacterial strains, things like lactobacillus. Yeah, probably mostly lactobacillus, depending. I don't know if there's acetobacter in there. There might be. Lactobacillus is what's responsible for most lacto-fermentations. So, like, fermented vegetables like sauerkraut. I've done that before, too. I do enjoy freshly fermented sauerkraut. What made you decide to start a sour? Okay, yeah, I should probably talk about the sourdough. you don't, you probably don't want to hear, about the colonies of bacteria and wild yeast, right? You want to know about the sourdough. Okay. So, in 2018, I'd gotten off of probably a couple years of baking bread. and I really wanted to bake bread because there wasn't any good bakery around me, right? There really wasn't. Uh, there still isn't. Even if I have moved, there's still no bakery around me. So the only bread I have access to is store-bought Wonder Bread. The pre-sliced kind that is bleached and might as well be made of, I guess gym mats. Oh, I'm okay. I'm glad, I'm glad. I didn't mean to call you out there, Diana. I'm just teasing. I do realize, not everybody is interested in bacterial cultures. Yeah. It's probably a very niche interest, right? Yeah. That's fine. I didn't even study that. My interests were always non-living. But yeah. So, I started baking bread because there weren't any good bakeries around, and I got pretty good at it. And I thought to myself, well, this hobby is getting boring. I do enjoy the quality of bread that I'm eating nowadays. It's much better than what you would buy in the store. But I was literally baking bread every single day for a couple years. It kind of got stale, if you'll forgive the pun. The crummy pun. I'll stop now. But yeah, it got stale, and I decided I wanted to try something more challenging. And I read that sourdough cultures were more challenging, because you have to take care of them properly if you want to get the right rise out of them. Bread is a staple food, and wow, that was 2 puns in a row. Yeah, I loaf my puns around here. Puns are the highest form of humor. Staple food. It is a staple food in the West, yes. And even many parts of the East, I guess. But I really enjoyed fresh bread. I enjoyed actual bread, and not whatever the spongy stuff we call bread today is found in supermarkets. Like, I get it. It has a purpose. If you're making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, go ahead. If you're making like an egg salad sandwich, go ahead. But if you're actually wanting to eat bread, please eat actual bread. It tastes so much better. There's so much more flavor. Like, I don't know if most people realize this, but a lot of those pre-sliced breads, they are technically bread, but they're not necessarily like yeast leavened bread. Leavened meaning risen through yeast. You might know other leaveners such as baking powder or baking soda. They add gas to a dough or a baked good. And I know some, not necessarily all, but some modern pre-sliced bread bakers, they don't even do that, right? Like, they'll pump their vats of dough with carbonation, and that kind of seems iffy to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Like, maybe that was just an apocryphal tale, and there's no scientific basis for that. But I could believe it, right? Like, it is so very different from what actual bread is, that I went out and learned how to make actual bread because of it. So, I don't know. You take it from you. I hate to be the source of misinformation, but it's gonna happen from time to time. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. But yeah, I did eventually start a sourdough culture. Like, I started from nothing. There was no one in my family that I could take a sample from. I had to do the 1-week method of making a sourdough starter, stabilizing it, and then making sure that the culture itself was healthy before I could even use it. So it took me 1 week before I actually knew whether or not I could use it for baking bread, without even like any of the I guess experiences of using sourdough over other leavening things like commercial yeast. Yeah, because commercial yeast is a very different beast from sourdough. For one, it's dry, and you can activate it at your leisure. It sits on a shelf or in your fridge if you want it to last a little bit longer. I do recommend putting yeast in the fridge. Yeast will die, even if they're in some kind of cryptostasis. So be very careful. I love homemade bread. Ah, yes, yes. Yes, no storage space in high humid environments are not great for bread. You need to be very... There are ways of doing it, right? Like, you could make rusks out of bread. Rusks would be basically the biscotti version of that. That's tough to say. The biscotti version of bread. Biscotti means twice cooked, right? That's where you get the bi from. Twice. So it's a twice cooked biscuit or cookie, depending on where you're from. And rusks are kind of the version that if you just do that with bread slices, that might store better, because you could freeze those pretty easily. And there is a neat tip where if you run those underwater, I don't know how long, probably just a little bit, and then you wrap them with tin foil, you can put that in the oven, bake it for a couple minutes, and then it becomes nice and soft again. I've done it, it works. That even works for stale bread, as long as it isn't moldy. You just run it underwater, wrap it with tin foil, pop it in the oven at something like 350 for, say, a minute, until it gets warm. That's all it really needs. Soft breads are your favorite? Soft breads, I know you can par-bake that. I know you can par-bake breads. And par-baking is basically just setting up the internal structure of the bread without browning the outsides. It's a very difficult technique, and I haven't mastered it. I don't even want to try, if I'm being honest. I imagine that if I ever did try, I would just end up with a gummy noodle of a piece of bread. Yeah, you're welcome. There are lots of great tips out there, and I don't think anyone should ever be afraid of baking their own bread, because it is fantastic. It is a lot easier than it looks. There are simple recipes out there, and yeah, there are a lot of ways to go about it, even if you do live in a high humid environment, or say you live on top of a mountain and the pressure is different. There are all sorts of tips and tricks out there. You can do it. It's just a little bit harder, I admit. I won't tell you that there are magic solutions, because there aren't. Life is not like that, right? Life does not give you magic solutions. There is no one magic bullet to any problem. You solve one problem, you're gonna end up with a couple more. But I will say, yeah, high humid environments absolutely can be fixed. If you're really worried, you can do things like, okay, so if you increase the salt level, you will reduce spoilage a little bit. If you bake it a lot longer so that the outside is very dry, you might last a bit longer, especially if you store it in an airtight container. So there are things you can do. And baking bread is just fun. Like, I don't have too many hobbies. But bread baking was one of them, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much that I would buy books just about baking breads. And there are several. I could recommend them. I would have to look through my bookshelves to get the exact titles, but I do know some fantastic books for beginners. I do recommend, though, if you ever bake bread, that you learn baker's percentages. They're a lot more simple than they sound. Baker's percentages... Gonna start a bread baking Discord. If I weren't an old man and I knew how to make Discords, I might consider it. Because I just do enjoy baking bread that much. Like, even today, I baked bread. Like, before this stream, before every stream, really, every day I bake bread. Because I don't like discarding sourdough, right? Like, if I make sourdough, I want to use sourdough. So it will either go into pancakes if I discard it. Yes, sourdough pancakes are fantastic. Or I will make bread from it every single day. I hate being wasteful. So I do feed it every day, but it does make sense, right? Sorry, I need to get food, just gonna lurk. That's fine, Grace. Thank you for chatting. Thank you for showing up at all. You never... Yeah, I should probably say that again. Anyone in the audience, or anyone watching the VOD, I don't want anyone to ever feel obligated or expected to talk. This whole streaming thing, it's very much just an opportunity for anyone who wants to interact with me, to interact with me. You don't need to feel obligated. If you don't interact with me, I'm just gonna ramble on, like the old man that I am, and you'll get random topics. Like, I have a whole sheet of them. 6 pages in Notepad. So, it's really just for you all, right? Yeah. If you want to interact with me, I love to interact with you. Sure, go ahead. It's fine. Heart, yes, thank you. Discords are easy to set up. Yeah. I actually tried to set one up. I did. I actually did try to set one up. Because I wanted to test if I could stream from it. Yeah. I never quite figured out how to get that to work, right? Like, I wanted to do movie nights. And the movie nights that I ended up doing have ended up just being public domain movies. Or movies that should be in the public domain and get claimed by small companies. Not bitter at all, YouTube. Not bitter at all. I won. I'll stop gloating. But yeah. There was a period where I did want to do movie nights before we did this whole public domain YouTube movie night. Because I really do enjoy movies. Movies are one of my, or used to be, one of my passions. Mostly zombie movies, so if you don't like horror, I'm sorry. But you're lucky, because a lot of my public domain choices are not horror. Like, I got Nosferatu, if we ever want to do another classic movie tonight. I know Groucho Marx movies are in public domain, and that's another project on the to-do list, right? I want to do a Groucho Marx and the Marx Brothers movie night. I love wordplay, and there were no better comedians when it came to wordplay than Groucho and Zeppo, and well, Harpo wrote some of them, but it wasn't really him. Chico, for sure. The Marx Brothers were around in the early 1900s. I want to say 1920s were their hotspot, right? Right at the transition of vaudeville and talkies. Yeah. So right when talking film became a thing is when they were big. And they're very clever people. They really were. Groucho was big for a very long time, and he influenced a lot of different comedians. I'm old too, and I figured it out. I am sorry for bringing up the age thing again, Diana. I know. You've said on prior occasions that you also feel the pain. I feel bad now. That is slightly better, right? If I feel pain being old, it is very rude of me to make others feel pain for being old. I will look into it again. I can't promise anything as far as Discords go, because I've never actually used a Discord in any kind of capacity. I do have I do have a Discord technically, but again, I never got it to work. Like, I couldn't hear what I was streaming. It's cool, no worries. Thank you for being so understanding. You know, I'm so old that I just get forgetful sometimes, you know? I say things that I probably shouldn't say without thinking about it. Yeah. But yeah, that just happens as you age, right? Just like sleeping on your shoulder and then losing your ability to raise your arm above your shoulder for 3 or 4 days. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I never quite said. Right. Yeah. That little pain issue, mostly still there. But I did figure out some solutions for it. Do you want to hear the old man talk about pain medication? Yeah, probably. Like, I don't think there's a better solution for inflammation than ibuprofen. Like, there are a lot of anti-inflammatories, right? Non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. Or NSAIDs. Add drug to the end, you get NSAID. Yeah. And there are a lot of them out there, but they all act slightly differently. I prefer acetaminophen for fevers. I prefer Excedrin for headaches. And I prefer ibuprofen for inflammation of the muscles. I can see if one of my streamer friends has a guide. Yes, good to know for the future. Maybe tomorrow. If you want to, that would be fine by me. I will look into it though. I really can't say that I can't do anything, right? Like, I haven't tried hard enough if I can't do something. I feel like we can all do whatever we want to do, so long as we want to do it enough and we try hard enough. And I don't think I've tried hard enough. I will figure it out eventually, if we ever want to do a movie night. A non-public domain one, I mean. Yeah, non-public domain movie night. Sounds like fun, right? But if there is a guide, sure, send it my way. I'd be more than happy to look at it. But you don't have to. You aren't obligated to do that for me. Because, again, you're not obligated to do anything. You are here to, listen to me ramble, basically, and interact with me if you want to. Yeah, I'm just the funny guy, or the funny picture guy, talking nonsense on the screen of some sort. You might not even be seeing the screen, right? Like, you might just have me on in the background. That's fine, too. Hyde is quite bright, and I'm sorry. Oh, you give me too much credit, right? I do appreciate the compliment, but you really are giving me too much credit here. If I were bright, I probably wouldn't be wearing so many drab colors, right? Yeah. Oh, it's fine, not too much trouble. I would appreciate the gesture, but you don't have to. There is never a need to. And, yeah. Like, it really just means more than enough to me that you would even suggest trying, you know? Like, it's just nice. And, it's very rare that you see such niceness, right? I don't know. It's rare for me to see such niceness in the world. So I'm very happy that you just offered, right? At all. But you don't really need to put yourself in that kind of position where you have to put an effort for something that I'm doing. I will figure it out eventually, if it ever becomes relevant, or if I ever have a good enough idea up here in my noggin. But it is really nice, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what more to say. About the, drugs, specifically. What's the blue pulsating star for? Oh, that's a trick shot indicator or a zone indicator. So when it says zone, if you get the last ball into it, you change zones. But if it says, if it doesn't say anything at all, it's a trick shot and it's worth extra points. Like you can see up here in the corner, top left, there's a score and there's a number under the score. The number under the score is how many shots I can make before game over, man. I love the Alien series. And if you don't make the shot, if you don't sink the ball, then you lose the one below it. But you also need a certain score to move on to the next zone. See, this is a trick shot one. It doesn't say zone on it. So I need to sink a ball in there to get extra points. And I failed miserably. Less than 3. Less than 3. Always less than 3. I'll tell you what, I really enjoy the less than 3 emoji. Wait, emote. I've been saying emoji so much recently. Look at me, I'm turning into a young man all over again. No. I am from the era where we had emotes instead of emojis. I know, that was a long time ago. Right? Yeah, that was a bad shot. That shouldn't have worked. This one says zone. So this is the end of the stage, basically. And we would move on if there were another zone after this. There are other games in this series where that's more important. But in my opinion, this game doesn't really use zones all too well at all. I don't even know how to get this. Probably top pocket? Long time indeed, right? I've been on the internet since... Let's see here. I want to say since I was 8. Yeah, since I was 8. And, it's been over 2 decades. Yeah, I didn't say that. Yeah. Over that amount of time online. So, you can do the math. Yeah. We were using emotes back then. And they weren't the fancy emotes with the, non-standard keyboards, right? They were things like, less than sign, period, less than sign. But even the less than sign, period, less than sign, shifty eyes, that's something that came much later. We started out with, underscores, right? Yeah. After the underscores, I think it moved to, minus signs, so that they had smaller mouths. But after the smaller mouths, they got even smaller. They turned them into periods. You could always tell how old people were if they used stuff like yes. Colon, minus, and parentheses, end parentheses. Yes, smiley face versus C colon. That's right, Cantrip. That is true. There were different periods of emojis. Like most people don't realize that. Oh, I'll let you all in on a secret. I have been working on a recording of a video that takes place, I guess, in the early 2000s. Like the game takes place in the early 2000s. And it's very much based off of MySpace, I think. So if that's your jam, look forward to that, because that's going to be coming out sometime in the next week or the week after. Depends on when my backlog demands it. But it is there, and I had a lot of fun playing it. Ooh. I hope it is enjoyable. Now, I will say that after I die here, in the next shot, as it probably will be, that will be the end of the stream. I do apologize, but as I said at the start of the stream, I am not very comfortable right now. I have that shoulder issue, and it is just constant. I used to tell people I loved being on MySpace as a kid. Ah, yes. Oh, I see. Oh, you were on the MySpace homepage. You know, it's funny, right? Like, back in the day, MySpace used to be the friend app. MyPlace. Oh, MyPlace. I don't even know what MyPlace is. Is MyPlace a game thing or something? Web portal. Gotcha. Gotcha. MySpace is much older, probably. But yeah. I could see where the confusion would come into play, right? um, MySpace was definitely for friends, back before Facebook became public, as it were. I was around for MySpace, but just never got into it. Yeah, yeah. Some people didn't, right? Like, it's probably better that you didn't, if I'm being honest with you. Not because it was bad, but because it was very much like the first big social media thing. And after that, like, everything changed. Social media as an invention just changed the entire culture. Yeah, the entire landscape was just devastated by the creation of MySpace, and then by the public adoption of Facebook, which used to be only for college students, right? Like, you had to have a college ID to sign up for that. Which is why everybody else ended up on MySpace. And nowadays, Facebook is still kind of limping along on one leg. And MySpace is for music now, right? Yeah, bands. The only thing I went on MySpace for was to download music illegally. Yeah, they did that, right? Oh, Hyde forgot about that. I forgot about that. Oh, that's true. There were some bands that you couldn't find music for online, but they had like MySpace pages, and then you would click on the little music section that they added, and there would be a MySpace player, and you could listen to their music for free. Yeah, I remember that. And that used to be the only way that I could listen to certain songs from smaller or more niche bands. Yeah, I forgot all about that. So yeah, downloading music illegally, probably compressed and terrible to listen to by modern standards, but perfectly usable back in the day. Just never been big into social media. Yeah, yeah. I don't blame you, Diana. I really don't. Like, I have a Twitter, and I barely post anything on it, right? I just never used Twitter before, right? Yeah, I've never used it. There was no point. Like, okay, my Twitter account is years and years old because I used to use it for interacting with Hololive events. So I made it essentially just to be there to send things to, say, a certain Orange Phoenix's cooking or baking showcase, or say to get noticed by a certain bread dog by making a certain bread dog in the real world out of real bread. Yeah. So that was the purpose of my Twitter, to send memes and to just interact, but never to post for my own interests. Yeah, I didn't get social media for that either. So I'm doing social media wrong as a PNG tuber, but I don't care. I'm having fun. Yeah, it goes full cycle. Back to taking. If I'm not going full cycle, I'm not tangenting well enough, right? Like, the arc of the tangent has to come around. I had a lot of fun tonight. I wish I could stay longer. Yeah, it was really fun tonight. Just at a really shady low-budget PNG YouTuber agency. You know, I actually have seen a few low-budget, maybe even no-budget agencies out there. Like, I don't mean to say it in a bad way, but I did see that there was a group specifically for, let's say, the aged and the elderly. I didn't apply to it. but I know some people who did, and they're great. They really are great PNG tubers and VTubers. The ones I know, at least. I can't say anything about the ones I don't know, but I'm sure they're fine. But yeah, there are lots of smaller groups now, so it's kind of like being an indie and being in a corporation at the same time, right? I don't know what the landscape's gonna be like in the next couple years, but it's definitely interesting times. uh, for me though, I don't know if I'd actually do it. It's not that I don't want to do something like that. I'm not against it. It's just, I still need to hone my own craft, you know? It's been 6 months since I started. Half a year. I hardly feel like... How should I say this? I don't feel like I'm ready yet. Yeah. I have so much left to learn, and part of that's on purpose, right? Like, I'm taking things very slowly. I'm not upgrading, like, hardware that I should be upgrading, because I kind of like the limitations of it. I want to master a skill before I move on. That's how I learned how to bake, right? I started with normal commercial yeast breads at a low hydration level that I could knead with my hands, and then I moved on to high hydration doughs with commercial yeasts, and it's very difficult to knead that. I used French kneading. I had to learn a completely different way of kneading bread, but I mastered that. And then I moved on to sourdough, which is a lot stickier. So I want to do the same thing with PNG tubing. I want to take it at my pace. I do apologize if it's too slow for some people, but you know, that's just how the old man works. Yeah, I had a lot of fun tonight, but I think we're gonna be calling it here. Thank you all for showing up. New faces, old faces, familiar faces. You're all very welcome to be here anytime you want to be, and I appreciate it always. Looking forward to the commercial yeast time moisture tuber. Good night. Thanks for streaming. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for being here. I hope you all have a good night or a good day or a good evening. But for now, I love you all. And Hyde out. See you next time. Night night. Thank you, Diana. See you next time.